Hey everybody, we're back with our SAT series, learning Desmos with the SAT and learning how the test itself is a reasoning and logic test, not so much testing on what you've learned in the classroom. Very different type test. I'm Daisy Luce. I help people build flexible, profitable online tutoring businesses by specializing in high demand niches like me. And SAT tutoring is one of the best subjects out there to tutor. So let's dive in. Last week, we were working on a system of equations problem, and I was showing you how doing it by hand can become so complicated so fast that it can really lose even the brightest students. I'm not saying everybody gets lost when doing that problem, but those problems can be considered extremely difficult if done by hand. But if you use Desmos to crack the case, it becomes a much easier problem. And this week I have another problem that I said I would come back and show you because this one also is something that students learned in Algebra 1 as well as in geometry. They practiced it again in Algebra 2, but even with all of that said and done, this is a complicated problem to do by hand. So let's check it out and find out why. So here we have a circle that is not in our typical form that we like. Circles generally, we like them to be in this form because this makes it easier to quickly identify the center and the radius. We practice this, as I said, in geometry. It does come back around in pre-cal. I've said that pre-cal is not on this test, and that is still true because you first learned this all the way back in geometry, and you learned for this particular problem completing the square in Algebra 1. But we're going to throw all of that out in a minute anyway and just use Desmos. But let's start with by hand. So in order to solve this by hand, the first thing you would need to do is group together the x's, group together the y's, move out the 20, and then we have to factor out the GCF in order to complete the square. Here we go. In order to complete the square, you have to do two things to that middle number. You have to divide by 2 and square it. I am already feeling the pressure to do this with this variable in here, and I am already outside of the bounds of how I ever would have had to do it in class as a student or as a teacher teaching a class for math. So this right here is going to lose some of your brightest students already. But I'm going to keep going. Follow me here, and then we'll switch to Desmos. Watch this. Now we factor. I don't even know if it's worth still going. I would never in a million years have a student solve this one by hand. But I'm going to keep going. Okay, at that point, I finally have it in standard form. This piece right here is supposed to be equal to r squared. And they told me the radius is root 28, so r squared would be 28. And I'm going to have to set this equation down here equal to 28 in order to finish solving. And I totally have run out of room. Not to mention, you have about a minute and a half per math problem to answer the question. I have blown right through that minute and a half. But got to finish this problem. Here we go. I'm going to squeeze it in up here. Wow. T equals 12. Okay. Leaving that behind, let's go to Desmos. In Desmos, I'm just going to type the equation, the original equation, and that's it. Look at that. I have a slider for the t. as I slide it around, the circle moves. That's fantastic. It says in the problem, if you look back, it says T needs to be positive. So I want to move the slider to the positive side. It is very rare that the constant values are a decimal. It does happen, but it's very rare. So I'm going to just move this around to whole numbers, to integers like 8. And I'm going to test the top point and the bottom point to see how far apart they are, see what the diameter is. Remember, they want me to make the radius square root 28. So that would mean the diameter is going to have to be 2 times square root 28 or 10.58. I could have done that on my handheld calculator as well if I were taking the SAT, because I do coach students up to take this calculator with them also, but just typed it in. So I'm looking for 10.5, checking the top and the bottom. That looks to be about 8.4 apart. That's not it. Which way? If I go this way, it gets bigger. Let me try 10. Still a little too small at about 9, but I'm getting closer. And if you remember, we already solved this by hand. The answer is supposed to be 12, but let's see if that's true. I need to make my slider stretch a little bit further. I'm going to go all the way to 15. But I'm going to get to the 12 and double check it. Top, bottom. Perfect. 2.29 down to 8.29 is 10.58. We found the answer. Do you see how much easier that is with Desmos? The amount of relief that students feel when they start to realize so many problems can be done like this, and not only done like this, but should be solved like this. And it's like they have this secret once I coach them up and show them that the test is a logic reasoning test, not trying to retest what they've done in math class. The amount of relief that washes over them, the confidence, should I even say joy they feel when they do their homework for SAT. I don't know if I should go that far, but it's exciting. And the excitement I feel as a tutor, and hopefully you can feel as a tutor if you decide to get into SAT tutoring, or if you're already doing it and you're just trying to figure out more about the SAT to add to what you're already doing. Follow me here. Let's go on this journey together. It is such an incredible job to have, being an SAT tutor and getting to just change the trajectory of a student's potential in life and college dreams, helping them reach those goals. So let's do this together. Click subscribe, follow me all month. Next week, we're going to leave math behind for a little while and talk about some of the English concepts and reading concepts and see how is the reading section a reasoning and a logic test too? Because, spoiler alert, it absolutely is. All right, see you next time. Happy tutoring, friend.